Hello everyone! So guess what? It's been about 5 years since I made my last Beertender video. The Beertender from the German-based company Oops. And what do you know? They ceased the support for this unit recently. Meaning you can't get any more kegs for it anywhere. So it kinda sucks if you paid like me 250 euros for it. It even sucks more if you, like my coworker, got his broken down unit fixed for like 100 euros recently and then they ceased the support for it. This is kind of a dick move, right? They had some sort of very limited kind of deal that if you turn in your old unit you get a discount on the new unit, but they didn't market it very well, to be honest. I didn't hear of it until it was too late. So that's that, I guess. They don't really go with the name Beertender anymore, they just call it the Sub. Maybe because of its resemblance to a submarine-like design, I don't know, I will show you shortly what I mean. Also, if those small 4-liter kegs were like not really big enough for you, well, bad news, they even made them smaller. Now they are not even called kegs anymore, they call them twerps. I guess that's short for torpedoes. I don't know, what's this about the submarine theme all of a sudden? I don't get it. Anyway, those twerps only contain 2 liters, yes, 2 liters of beer. So, for my American friends, that's about 2 quarts, or a little more than half a gallon each, which is really kind of small. It doesn't last you quite a long time. So if you got some guests over, you ought to buy at least 2 or maybe even 3 or more of those devices, which is kind of excessive in my opinion. But other than that, I don't see how it will work if you have some guests over. So this is the premium edition, the so-called Heineken edition. I'm sure you can see why, why it's called that. It's made of anodized aluminum and yeah, as you can see it has quite a different design than the old Beertender. It says the Sub on the back, and I think they're calling it the Sub because of its lying down kind of design. It kind of resembles a submarine maybe, with a lot of fantasy. There's the brand name right here. There are cooling outlets all around, there's something like a computer fan down below here, and it got some sort of suction cups, which are quite practical. Because by the design of the unit, if the keg in there is almost empty and you pull the lever too hard, it might do something like this. You know, so the suction cups are pretty handy. It comes with a nice metal dripping tray with rubber inlays, all machine washable of course. And unfortunately, like with the old Beertender, there's no magnets nor anything to snap it on the unit itself. It just kind of rests in front of it and that's it. Also quite differently to the original Beertender design, they got rid of all the displays, any kind of display, no keg level indicator, no temperature control, it just has an on and off switch basically. It makes the Beertender cool the contents automatically down to 2 degrees Celsius and that's about it. So 2 degrees Celsius, if you remember, that's the coldest setting on the original old Beertender unit. And why wouldn't you set it to the coldest level? Otherwise you could just use your usual fridge and be done with it, right? So the only thing to do to set it up is just plug it in and push the on switch. And it starts cooling. And as long as this switch is red, it's not down to the crispy 2 degrees Celsius yet. Just wait until the indicator turns green. Which will take, at room temperature level, anywhere between 30 minutes to 1 hour, depending on your ambient temperature, of course. The more regular standard unit, without the beer brand name dropping on it, kind of looks the same, except that it's made out of plastic. You can get it in many different colors, like gray or red or blue. I chose black because it's subtle, right? It also works exactly the same way. There's nothing really different about it. Yeah, did I mention it's plastic, not metal? I already said that, I think. And the drip tray is all plastic, of course, too. And even though it's got those kind of 2 protrusions, they still don't snap into anything, or you can hang it into something. In the end, you just, putting it in front, like with the other unit. It also says Sub on the behind. On a positive note, the twerps are a lot easier to handle because they're a lot smaller And you don't have to return them to the store to get some money back or something. Just treat them like you would any plastic bottle. When they're empty, just crush them, deflate them and throw them away. They're disposable. Also, they are a lot easier to stack in your average fridge because they are not as bulky as the old kegs. On another positive note, the old Beertender only had about 5 different beers to choose from, and they didn't expand on that in all those years. This time, there are a lot more beers to choose from. The shelf life is kind of a mixed bag this time. If you get them at the supermarket, and you can only get the run-of-the-mill, not special at all beers at the supermarket, you know, then obviously you can choose which Torp you take home with you yourself. But if you want like the fancy craft beers or IPAs or whatever, you have to order them online. And you have to order them through this site called Beerwolf. It's based in the Netherlands and they have a lot of different kinds of beer to choose from, like 20 or 25 different kinds. There's Belgian wheat beers, there's craft beers, there's triple beers, IPAs, pale ales, Spanish beers, Mexican beers, even the Asian tiger beer from Singapore right here. So there's a lot to choose from. Even an English brown ale, I think. So yeah. The pricing very highly depends on the beer. If you choose your average run-of-the-mill Austrian beer, this 2-liter Torp costs about 7 euros. If you choose some really strong craft beer like this Delirium Tremens that comes in at about 8.5% alcohol, it's gonna cost you almost 18 euros. And when you order online, you obviously can choose the expiration date yourself. So sometimes they have an expiration date, a shelf life, that's half a year into the future, maybe 3 months in the future, but sometimes only 1 month. And that's the guarantee of the Beerwolf site. They say they don't monitor every expiration date of every Torp they send you, but they guarantee that no Torp you will receive from them has a shelf life under 1 month. So yeah, it's not the best deal, but I can live with it. I have to, if I want to use this device. Like with the old Beertender, there are 3 different models. The premium one being a metal one made of anodized aluminum. That's the Heineken edition. To be honest, I would have preferred something with no beer brand name tagging on it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like Heineken, but that's the only choice I have if I want a premium unit, period. The second one comes in many different colors, but is made out of plastic, but nothing different from the premium unit. And the third one is a unit, I think they call it the compact unit or something. The difference being the Torps are not loaded from the front, but from the top down, because it's really compact and there's not much room. That's the only unit I don't have. I got the plastic one and the metal one, so I have the capacity for 2 times 2 liter Torps, totals 4 liter, like I had with the old Beertender. Oh, and the cheapest unit, being the compact one, it doesn't even have an on or off switch. It's plug and play. As soon as you plug it into the power socket, it starts running, and that also kind of rubbed me the wrong way. That's why I didn't get that one. Yeah, call me old-fashioned. I know. So here's the only unit I don't have, the cheapest, the compact one, without an on or off switch. And there are some color palettes to choose from. The subtle black, some form of gray or blue shade, and some form of red. And that's the color palette for the middle one, the one I showed you, the plastic one. You can get it in black and this kind of blue, red, this other kind of red and white. Anyway, so the pricing, yeah. When they released those units, they kind of went with the same pricing as the old unit. So the most premium one was about 250 euros. The next one 130, I think, and the cheapest one being the compact one at about 100. But they quickly dropped the price level after releasing it. I can only guess why. So luckily I got the premium one for 130, which is almost half of the original price. I think you can get the middle one for 100 euros and the cheapest one for 70 euros right now, 70 or 80. But keeping in mind that you need 2 or 3 devices if you have guests over, the costs quickly stagger, and I can understand that people are not really eager to get it. So once again, it's clearly a gimmick and you don't really absolutely have to have it. And you sure as hell can save money on it by buying your beer this way. Like with the original Beertender, the torps are supposed to be pre-cooled at least 24 hours in the fridge. If you put them in at room temperature, it takes really forever until they get those crisp 2 degrees Celsius. Some of the torps even have a kind of coolness indicator like this. I don't know if you can see it that well. It turns blue when it gets the right pre-cooling temperature. Before that, when it's kind of room temperature, this is all white. Let me just rub my finger on it to warm this spot up, and you can see what I mean. See? So this is about when you get it, and when it cools down it gets blue. Nice trick. The torps themselves work on a double shell system, so meaning there's this outer shell, then there's an inner shell with the beer inside that contains the actual beer. This is the valve the Beertender uses to pressurize the spacing between those shells, compresses the inner shell, beer comes out this side, so that's how it works. However, the manual says once a torp is opened, it will stay fresh for 15 days. I don't know why this discrepancy compared to the old unit. It used to be 30 days, now it's 15. But then again, that's not really the problem here. A 2-liter container of beverage in 15 days. I mean, you can drink that in 1 day, over the course of 1 day without even getting a buzz. Unless you choose one of those really strong craft beers and drink it all at once. But even then, you're not completely shit-faced. Excuse my language. Even then, you're not completely drunk. Wasted. Whatever. So the indicator turned green. It's all ready to go. And that took about 40 minutes, give or take. Now let's crack open a torp. I'll go with the Delirium Tremens for this time. I think it's from Belgium or something, I don't know for sure. It rocks about 8.5% alcohol. Yeah, and some torps contain this weird kind of extension piece. I don't know if I really have to use it since they're all pretty much the same size and some contain it and some don't. But I'm gonna use it anyway since it's included. So all you need is in there. So just put this end into the torp in one swift motion. And let's load it up. Just follow the guiding rail. And also I didn't tell you, nothing that isn't disposable comes in contact with your beer. If you remember, the old Beertender had this kind of removable nozzle that was the only part of it that came in contact with the beer, and you had to wash it every once in a while. So this one is a little bit longer, the disposable nozzle, and if it snaps in, if you snap it in there, yeah, like this, then you can see it kind of, if you can see it, it kind of finishes level with the outer nozzle. Pretty neat. Okay, close it up. Turn. And it's already pressurized because it's full. Ah, god damn it. I was talking about it, but I forgot to use this kind of extension piece. But like I said, I probably don't need to use it. So yeah, honestly, that doesn't make a difference, I think. So let's take out your iced glasses and... no, wait. Did I leave it open too long? Now it's red again. But don't worry, if your if your sub unit is already cold, meaning the indicator was green beforehand and your torp was pre-cooled, it should only take about 10-15 minutes for the indicator to get green again. Still a bit annoying. Finally it turned green again, took more like 20 minutes this time. What the hell? But anyway, let's break out the iced glasses and start having some fun. And when there's a lot of foam like this in your first glass or even in your second, you honestly get four half a liter glasses out of this 2 liter twerp. It's not like, oh, the first glass is only foam and then I only have like 3 more glasses and then the twerp's already empty. No, in that case you get 5 glasses out of it, or even 6. So in all honesty, it's 2 liters, almost 2 quarts, a little more than half a gallon. So without further ado, cheers, Prost and Kampai. Damn, that's strong. And those crispy 2 degrees Celsius also help cooling me down on a hot summer day. But yeah, I get it. I completely sympathize. If you don't feel like buying multiple units like this, and you feel like, yeah, 2 liter twerps, even the 4 liter kegs were too small for me and my party I was planning, then there's a solution now, my friends. And that solution is the big brother of the Beertender. It's called the Blade. It sports much bigger kegs, and please join me in the second part for the Blade. I hope to see you again soon. Thanks for watching.